Go again.
3, 2, 1. Live. Welcome back to the Movement for Life podcast. My name is Kolby Christophic.
Hi.
And this is JR. JR is my beautiful and lovely assistant. If you've watched any of our other episodes, you all know that he is the better looking of the two of us.
I want you to say my last name.
Jaquay?
Almost. Jakeway.
Jakeway? It is Jakeway.
It's Jakeway.
Jake, we have a fun episode this week with Kyle Womack. But before I kind of get into just describing who he is and what he does, we are going to talk about what we have planned for this coming week for exercise. Typically, every single week, we talk about, hey, what did we do this last week? Today, we want to change it up a little bit. We're going to talk about, hey, what are we doing this coming week for movement?
All right. This week, I plan on running 3 times. So we have 2 weeks until Murph. For those of you who don't know what Murph is, it's an annual workout that's performed on Memorial Day in celebration, memorial, remembrance of Mike Murphy. And he was in the Navy. He died in the line of duty in Afghanistan. And allegedly, this workout, Murph, was one of his favorite workouts, and he performed a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and another mile run with a weight vest. So CrossFit has kind of adopted this as a way to remember him, and really anybody else who has died in the line of service, first responders included, and all over the world. The community comes together and they do this. So I have been trying to run a little bit more. I ran twice last week. I would like to run 3 times this next week. And one of those, maybe 2, will be with my 20-pound weight vest.
I was going to ask.
Preparing for the upcoming Murph.
All right.
What about you?
I love that. I'm now that I'm kind of thinking about it, and as you're talking about it, maybe Murph is more participated in than the Open. Do you think more people do Murph than do the Open? Because I feel like more people, because you don't necessarily have to sign up for it. Most gyms just typically do this on Memorial Day Murph. Might see more people do Murph than did the Open. And it's for sure. It is a hard workout. And granted, everybody scales appropriately. Even when you scale appropriately, this is a dang hard workout. So I'm excited to do it this year. I think what I need to commit to this following week, which will be fun because I'm going to say it on the podcast and you guys got to hold me to it, is I got to do some more push-ups. My push-ups are...
Yeah, they're not very good.
They are not. And this month's challenge at our gym is a push-up challenge. So 100 push-ups on a daily basis. You could get up to 3,100 push-ups. We've got some members that are on track to hit 3,100. It's a great way to prepare for Murph as well. I'm only at 200 push-ups intentionally so far, and we are, 13 days in? So I've only done 2 of my 13 days. So this coming week, I need to do at least 3 days worth of those. So that means 300 push-ups in the coming week. That will be in addition to I got to swim one more time because my recheck is also coming up this coming week. So I got to swim one more time, 300 push-ups, and I hope to get some pickleball in. But I'm okay if I don't get any pickleball in. I think push-ups are going to try to take precedent over pickleball this week.
What about push-ups is difficult for you?
I don't know. I got like noodle weenie arms.
I mean, I don't got very big arms.
I don't understand, but outside of like 50 push-ups, I'm doing like singles, like 1s, 2s, and 3s. 1s, 2s, and 3s. You don't think it's
muscular endurance only?
I don't know. I mean, so today's workout was Barbara, and it was 20 pull-ups, 30 push-ups, 40 squats, or 40 sit-ups, 50 squats. Every set of pull-ups, I did 20 unbroken.
It's when you get to that threshold and you break it, then it just completely breaks down.
Yes. So my first set, I did 30 push-ups in a row. My second set, I did 12, 9, and then like 3, 2, 2, 1. My third set, I did threes, 10 sets of 3.
Mm,
And then my fourth and fifth set, I did sets of 5 with bigger
How did you say
rests.
that you started the first 2 rounds? You went unbroken?
Yeah, I did unbroken on the first round.
That wasn't very smart.
I know. But there was 3 minutes of rest. So even with a lot of rest, I was past threshold, and I could not keep up push-ups anymore.
I think that the reason why I do so well at push-ups is because growing up in gymnastics, we did so many every single time we came in. But here's the deal, and this is what I tell everybody. In gymnastics, they're always trying to find different ways for us to do a same movement in either a different hand placement or just like the smallest tweak. So we would do just an ungodly amount of push-ups, but regular push-ups. We would do them with a wide grip, a narrow grip. Spider-Man, where we put one hand in front of the other. We do fingertips. We do it on our fists. We do it on the back of our palms. Just change it up every single time. And I think just all of those different versions of a push-up has made me strong in a push-up. And that's not usually the problem. Like, when I'm doing Murph, usually by the time I get to the squats, my lower back is hurting. So then I have to kind of be a little bit more cautious in the way that I'm moving. If I'm doing it without a vest, then I can kind of just blow through those. If I'm doing it Cindy, forget it. It's just like I'm going to go through as fast as I can. Yeah. But if I'm going to do it RX, the squats, by that time, I have to be very aware.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this week we got to chat with Mr. Kyle Womack. He is a good friend of mine from many years ago. Met him originally in Hawaii. But Kyle Womack is the owner of Move RX and Move Oahu. He is a cash physical therapist who works out of most of the gyms in Oahu. He also has a practice in Oklahoma City. And he helps people move pain-free. He helps people solve mobility issues. He helps people solve some soft tissue issues. And he's got a lot of like other really cool, exciting things that are going on that we're excited to kind of share and talk about as this interview kind of folds out. This is Mr. Kyle Womack. Kyle, why don't you give us a little bit of background on what you do for work, where you live, and a little bit about your family.
Yeah. Thanks guys for having me on. So like I said, my name's Kyle. I'm a physical therapist and a CrossFit coach. My wife Jen and I, we have our own private practice called the Move Collective. Had it for about 6 years. I'm doing physical therapy mainly with CrossFit athletes to help them solve their pain, movement, mobility problems, basically so they can stay in the gym and keep working out with their friends. We've had clinics here on Oahu. We had one in Kauai. We've had 2 in Oklahoma all in the past. Right now we're just based out of Oahu and working with people here on the island, but then also work remotely with people kind of all over the country. So my wife and I were originally from Oklahoma. We've been out in Hawaii for almost 9 years now. We had a little 2-year stint in Oklahoma, but then we've been back out here in Oahu for it's coming up on almost 2 years now that we've been back. And we have 4 daughters, age 6 through 3 months. So, it's pretty quiet around our house. There's not a lot going on.
So relaxing.
Yeah. I guarantee there will be one of them bust through this door here in a little bit. We love being outdoors, surfing, hiking, working out with our friends, like community. I love talking business, health, fitness, and basically just like figuring out, okay, how do we optimize like every aspect of our life? That's one of the things I feel like Jen and I really talk about a lot, and probably why like Kolby and I have become good friends is we'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about barefoot running? What do you think about, ice baths? What do you think? Like, I don't know. There's just always these little things that we're trying to just nuance and figure out, okay, how do we optimize this whole experience of life? And then how do we also like bring other people along with us to make sure that life doesn't suck?
All right, Kyle, we're going to jump into some questions here. It sounds like you're a primary focus is working with CrossFit athletes. So correct me if I'm wrong. And then can
Yep.
you share with us what is the most common injury that you see in the CrossFit realm? And then as a second part to that, what is your advice to somebody who's not sure whether their aches or pains are injuries or they're just uncomfortable?
Gotcha. Okay. So most common, if we had to really boil it down and say, okay, what is the most common things that we see? It doesn't so much have to do with CrossFit itself. It has to do more with like, what are they doing outside of CrossFit? And then CrossFit
Sure.
just exposes it. And so,
Right.
couple of the things, and there are some little nuanced things that might be problematic with CrossFit. We'll kind of touch on those, but the main things that I see, hip extension mobility. Like if I had to pick one, is like people have tight hip extension. And that's going to be giving a lot. There's a whole host of issues that could come up with that, but for low back stuff, knee pain, especially with stuff like deadlifts and running, lunges, jumping. Like if you have issues with those, like just try it, work on some hip extension, see what happens. It'll probably get better. And the thing is too, like with that kind of in CrossFit, we very rarely do we really load hip extension really heavily. We don't do a lot of sprinting, and we don't do a lot of heavy lunges. We don't do a lot of split jerks with both sides. And if you do, it's like I did 2 reps and then we called it a day. Whereas like how many times do we do a squat pattern in a week? Like thousands.
Sure.
Yeah. And then with sprinting, it's one of those, well, it's kind of just catch-22. It's like, well, we don't sprint in our affiliate because people get hurt. Well, maybe people get hurt because we didn't sprint in our affiliate. There's
Right.
There's 2 sides of that, and so some gyms will take it and say, hey, let's actually try to work on this pattern. And then some gyms will say, we're just going to like make sure everybody stays happy. And both are, especially when you're talking business, like both are a good argument, And so, yeah, that'd be the first thing I'd say, hip extension mobility. If we're looking at upper body stuff, thoracic spine stiffness. If you can't if you can't extend out your spine, like you're not gonna be able to get your arms overhead. And if you can't get arms overhead, stuff like kipping, snatches, overhead presses, overhead carries, anything like that are going to be giving you problems. And so, those are the 2 main things. I could kind of like break down a couple others, and if we boil that down, like, okay, why do those things happen? It's because chairs, cars, and couches. If somebody, our modern society sits in chairs and cars and on their couch at home a lot. And so if you're sitting in a chair for a long time, guess what? Your hip flexors get tight. Your hip extension gets poor. If you sit in the chair for a long time, you're not going to sit up all the way upright. You're going to be kind of rounded forward. Tight thoracic spine. Okay, well now I can't get my arm overhead. So it's all kind of comes down to what you're doing outside of the gym, and then CrossFit just exposed you.
I think I need to stand up and stop slouching.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
You're the only one that's standing here.
Hey, that's what I gotta. It's branding.
No, but it makes sense.
Practice what I preach.
Like, what is your advice to somebody when they're feeling like something's not right? Do you have like one thing that you say, hey, this is like the difference of you being uncomfortable in an uncomfortable situation, and you can work through it, or you need to stop because you're injured, besides obviously going to a physician and actually having it checked out? Right.
Oh, that's a pretty complex question. I would say one time the best explanation I could say is if alarms are going off. So like if you do a movement and there's alarms going off, meaning that like just kind of gets worse throughout my workout and things don't feel good, and it's like something in your head is telling you to stop. That's your nervous system saying that you've crossed the line, buddy, and we're going to tell you to stop doing what you're doing. If it's more of just like, it's kind of that like if somebody's been training for a while, if this is like a brand new person, they may not know the difference between like pain and discomfort. Like you show up for your first Murph.
That's more of like what I'm. Yeah.
Like you show up for your first Murph, and like guess what, buddy? It sucks. It's your legs are going to be hurting, your chest is going to be hurting, your arms are hurting, you're thinking you're going to die. And that's different than. I halfway through the workout, I jumped up onto the ring, started on the pull-up bar, and something started screaming in one side of my shoulder. Or if it's one-sided, that could be a really good determiner. It's like if one side is really hurting you, that's not just discomfort through a workout. That means like something's wrong. There's an imbalance there. That'd be probably the easiest thing. But for new people, it's kind of hard to distinguish that sometimes, because it's like they gotta figure things out. But for somebody that's been trained, you pretty much know the difference between, I got to push through this workout and alarms going off, something's wrong. The thing is, this gets into a whole philosophy of like why we work out and everything. But if the goal is to come in and do a workout and like have good fitness for the rest of your life, that one workout isn't going to change that. So I would rather somebody do 50 to 75% of their capacity or of their like what they think they should do and get through the workout and be like, that was an okay workout. I got sweaty, had some fun, but it wasn't like they were aching for the next 2-3 days. I'd rather somebody do that and then they show up 3-4 times a week for the next 5 years, as opposed to the person that comes in, goes hard because the girl next to them was snatching 130 and they think they should be able to. And then they go in this cycle of like bang themselves up, pause the membership for a month, come back, bang themselves up again, pause the membership for a month. And it's like, okay, well then they say CrossFit hurt me. Like, no, buddy, your ego hurt you.
I know that person.
Yeah.
I know several of those people.
That's great advice. Thank you.
You posted a couple of weeks ago that pausing your membership when something happens is not the answer. And what I mean by like when something happens is like you feel maybe a tweak or you're like extra sore from something, or you're like, oh, I'm just gonna play it safe and I'm gonna be cautious and I'm not gonna come in for the next month or 2 months until everything feels better. You posted that, hey, that is probably not the best answer. Why do you think that that's true, and what is the offset to that? Like, what are why is not pausing your membership the best option?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's not solving anything, and that's, a lot of times what I'm trying to figure out when working with athletes is how do we solve this problem? And the problem wasn't that normally it's not a problem of like, I need to stop working out. The reason that you're having these aches or these pains has to do typically with some sort of a movement related issue. And so if all you do is just say, hey, I'm just going to stop doing everything, you haven't fixed anything. All you've done is you've just taken away the stimulus. And so then as soon as you come back, so you say, okay, I paused my membership for a month, 2 months, whatever, went and sat on the couch, did nothing. Okay, guess what? My ache and pain went away. You come back to the gym and it starts right back up again because you didn't fix anything. So that's the first thing I'd say is it's not solving anything. But the other thing too is it takes you away from your community. So you still there, Kolby? I think I lost you a little bit.
I'm here.
Oh, you got you. Okay, cool. The other thing is it takes you away from your community.
Yeah.
And so it's basically one of the best parts of CrossFit and kind of this functional fitness style that we all love is that you have these relationships and this community. And if you go away from that support system, it's not helping you recover. Like everybody in the gym wants to see you come in every day, and see you improve. And so if you just like back away from that, you're not getting that support system to help you through, if you did have like an actual injury, like those people aren't there to help you recover through that. So you always want to stay active, even if it just means that you show up to the gym and you're doing some air squats and doing assault bike sprints. Like, hey, you're still getting in. Even just if we talk about just injury, rehab as a whole, we need blood flow. We need blood flow to an injured area. So sometimes it's just like, hey, go in. I want you to go to the gym, get on the air bike, or get on a rower, and just do something. Get hot and sweaty. And then while we're working on this problem, and then we'll start incorporating those movements that were giving you issues back in.
Yeah, I think a little bit of education goes a long way for some athletes in that area. I think that there's a lot of fear that's associated. Like if I get hurt, then something else is going to happen and I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to like remove myself from the stimulus instead of like discovering what's actually going on. And so I think that's also part of the coach's responsibility to kind of give two sides to that education. Side number one, not like group classes are not going to fix your problem. Like, right? If there's actually a problem, group classes, like you're going to have to do something else on top of what you were already doing to fix whatever the problem was. So having that understanding, and hopefully having good resources for that athlete to say, hey, here's some resources for you to help you fix your problems, because group class is not going to fix your problem. We can move well, we can modify around, we can get your blood flowing, we can be a part of the community, but it's not going to fix your problem. So that's part number one. And then part number two is being able to communicate and establish the importance of community as a part of their lifestyle and their gym membership. Like, it is, the gym membership is not just the workouts that are there, and like having those relationships and being around those people, even while you're quote unquote recovering from an injury or a tweak, like are hugely important in your lifestyle, because we all know that when you're like 1 day or 2 days away from the gym, and then it gets to like a week away from the gym, the motivation to go back to the gym just like plummets. It just starts to drop, and you're like, I don't want to go, like, I don't want to go back. And the longer that goes, the harder and harder it is to like jump back into that. So if you can continue, surrounding yourself with those people where you're like, hey, I never actually like took myself out, so the motivation to get back, I didn't have to overcome that obstacle. I think it's important for coaches to communicate that aspect of injury or tweaks or like the process, right? If you move, the likelihood that something goes wrong is probably pretty high. The likelihood of other things going wrong if you don't move is a lot higher. So we'll take the risk of moving and dealing with those things, because we know how to handle them. So I think that was super insightful. I thought that was super powerful, that you put that post up, and I was like,
it's definitely going to be, you just got to stay moving. That's the thing and tweaks are going to happen, problems are going to happen. And like, old Dr. Kyle, Mr. Movement guy, still gets tweaks every now and then, like it happens, and so you just got to know what to do when that happens. And I think too, like having, like you said, like coming from the coaches, like that is a super important part. And that's something that has to be a priority in that affiliate or that gym's dynamic, is that the coaches have some authority, and can say like, hey, hey, you know what? I think we need to modify this. So we need to change this for you. Or, hey, is something giving you problems? Like, how about let's do something different? And there needs to be this mutual respect between the athletes and the coaches, that if the coach says, hey, we need to do something different, that the athlete says, okay, sounds good. Because, and I've seen a lot, I've been in a lot of affiliates over the last, 7-8 years, and I've seen some of them doing it really well. And I've seen some of them that I'm like, golly, this is horrible. Because you'll have people moving terribly, but the coaches are too scared to tell this person, because the coach is a new coach and that person's been here for 10 years and they're not going to listen. And that's a whole dynamic thing in itself. But people have got to be able to trust the coach whenever they see something wrong. And if they don't, then they're going to get injured, potentially. And then, then they want to point. A lot of times those people then will point the finger at the system and not themselves.
All right, so let's stay a little bit on this track where we were talking about not feeling good, or we kind of feel a little bit of pain. And let's specifically talk about knee pain. Regardless of what we're doing, whether you're doing CrossFit or you're working out at a global gym or you're a runner, we all have experienced knee pain at some point. So what is a good point of triage when you start feeling knee pain, that you can maybe assess for yourself if maybe it's, a tight quad or a tight calf or something else that could be causing that versus an acute injury? I mean, besides the fact that you would know at the moment that if it was an acute injury, like it happens there, but if it just starts hurting, and we get clients all the time saying, my knee hurts and I don't know why, but I don't know when it started hurting. What is something that you will do with your patients just to kind of triage that, to just kind of take some things away from the plate?
Yeah. So normally I like to start off with the lowest hanging fruit. So sometimes it's like, hey, if the knee itself is hurting, let's not get too complex yet. Grab you a floss band, so like voodoo floss or mobility floss or something, wrap it above and below your knee, do some squats, see if it gets better. Like if one of you guys text me tomorrow and said, hey, my knee hurts, what do? I would say, have you flossed it yet? Okay, that's right. It's very, very simple. That's the cheapest and most effective tool I've ever found for helping things, is just like put some floss around the joint, move it around, see if it gets better. Now, that's non-assessing. That's very low level. But man, I don't know how many times I'll have people that either like my clients or previous clients or people that I haven't even worked with that'll text me and ask me stuff. I'll say, do that. And then they say, hey, you know what? It feels better. Great, cool, wonderful. Have a good day. Now, if we want to say what is going to be more commonly, what is something that
listen out on so much money.
Yeah, it's not. You know what? Here's the deal, though. Is like my goal is for people to be able to move well for the rest of their life, and so if most of the time it's a bigger issue than that. And so when that bigger issue comes along, they know who to work with. Okay, but if they can just floss their knee and feel a little better, like, cheers, go for it. Like the goal is for people to move better and to feel better. So like if that's happening, then I don't care if I make money or not. The money will come. It'll happen. And been able to build business pretty well for the past 7 years doing this. So it's like, if somebody wants to get very detailed and all that, let's go for it. I'll send it on that. But if we wanted to back up and say, okay, hey, why do people most commonly have knee issues? The biggest thing I'd say is lack of hip extension and rotation control. So we talk about hip extension, mobility, kind of as far as like what's the most common thing. That's kind of like, does that joint even go into extension? But the second part of that is like, can they even control that extension? And if they can't, then you're going to have a lot of stiffness through the quad. And then if you can't control extension, you can't control your rotation. So the glutes, their job, I'm trying to get too sciencey, but the glutes' job is to extend and rotate the hip. And so if your knee is not tracking correctly, it has nothing to do with your knee. It has to do with above or below it, because the knee is just a simple little hinge joint. But the hip and then also the ankle are what is controlling that. So if we can teach somebody how to control their hip, it will control the knee, and then their knee doesn't hurt anymore. So first thing, floss it, see if it feels better. Second thing I'd say, if I had to pick like one exercise, it's probably like a single leg glute bridge, and keep your arms off the ground. Okay, a lot of people do single leg glute bridges with their arms on the ground, and it becomes a lat exercise.
Yes.
Like, what's the one thing that CrossFitters don't need to work more of is their lats. Okay? All of us got our lats hanging out of our shirts, and then like in between our shoulder blades is nothing, and then the glutes are just like flat. So take your arms up off the ground, make yourself brace, do as many single leg glute bridges as you can. That's a good test to see what's your max on that. If you can knock out 20 or 30 without even thinking about it, that's probably not your issue. But you take the arms up off the ground and watch people, see if their hips dump. So if their hips start dumping when they take their leg up off the ground, then that says they don't have good hip rotation control. So then when they go into a squat, that knee is going to be diving in, or they're going to be losing control through the hip and everything. So yeah, floss it, single leg glute bridges with no arms. Do those two things, fix your knee.
I'm so glad that you said that about the glute bridges. I always make people either put their arms across their chest or behind their head, and they don't like that.
Bro, nobody likes when I make warmups. I haven't been. I don't coach very much right now. I coach like we do kind of just like a community workout at our house once a week. But I used to coach a lot, and in the warmups I'd be like, all right, we're doing crab walks around the gym. We're doing low butt bear
adults
crawls.
Hate crab walks.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do. And then they can't figure out why they can't
get tough.
Can't get
they're
on the
tough
rings.
for them.
Shoulder extension, hip extension.
Yeah.
Back to hip extension. They can't get their butt to stop dragging the ground. Figure out your crab walk, and guess what? Your deadlift is stronger.
You've got a wife as well and 4 small little girls.
Yeah,
that takes a lot up a lot of time, energy, effort. So what are, and on top of that, you guys kind of made you were out in Oahu, and then you went to Oklahoma City. Then in the last 2 years, you made a shift and uprooted again with 3 kids, and went back to Oahu. How do you feel like you balance your business and your professional side of Kyle with family side of Kyle, or pursuing
Yeah.
like other dreams that are not necessarily business related?
Yeah. Well, that could be an entire podcast, probably series in itself there. I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing is it boils down to intentionality and communication. And,
Mm.
and I'd say like and that those are kind of like kind of woo-woo type words, but, Jen and I, about 7 to 8 years ago, we had my student debt that was kind of starting to pile up on us just from physical therapy school. And we said, okay, hey, we're going to learn how to budget and we're going to get this taken care of. And so we, learned, okay, how do we communicate with each other about a budget? And what we learned through that is that rather than every month wondering where your money went, you tell it where to go, is kind of what a budget does. And so we did that in a way to be able to pay off our student loans. And then from there, it was like, okay, well, now that we've done this, well, now we can take that and start a business. And then now we can take that and we can, purchase a home. And now we can take that and we can move where we want to move. So there's all these different aspects that came with that as far as the financial piece. But the principles of budgeting don't just apply to finances. They also apply to time. And so
Yeah.
if you learn how to budget your time, then the sky's the limit, because then what you do is, rather than going, man, I don't know where all my time's going and I can't do it all, like I don't know how to get all these things done, is you budget your time, and rather than wonder where it went, you tell it where to go. And so about every 3 to 4 months, Jen and I sit down together, and normally it's about a 2 to 3 hour conversation. And we sit down and we say, okay, hey, how are we liking our schedule right now? And normally what we'll do is we'll try to go sit somewhere that's, we don't have the kids with us. We go kind of on like a little just like businessy type date, which we do that, twice a week. We go and just sit at a coffee shop and work together. But these ones are kind of very intentional about let's figure out our schedule. And we say, okay, what are we liking? What are we not liking? And part of that sometimes it's Jen saying, hey, I need a little bit more alone time. I'm with the girls all the time and I just need a little bit of a break. Hey, cool. Let's put that on the schedule. And then sometimes it's for me, it's like, hey, you know what? I need to make sure that I'm working out a little more. Like I'm doing all these things. I don't really feel like I have a lot of time to actually hit the gym. So it's like, okay, let me put that on the schedule. And then, we also, we live in Hawaii. It's a very expensive place. So like part of that is the financial piece of what do we have to do for our business in order to pay our bills and to like reach the financial goals we want to do. Okay, well, let's say we need to see this number of people each week. I need to bring on this many remote clients. I need to launch this program, and we need to find this many customers. So we put all that in, and then we draw up this big schedule for the week. And all that says too, like, hey, my priority is my wife and my daughters. Like number one, like that's them. And number two would be business. But number one is my wife and my daughter. So if I look at my schedule and I'm spending more time working on business than I am with my wife and my daughters, then there's a disconnect between what I'm saying I want to do and what I'm actually doing. And there's going to be kind of a resentment, and I'm not going to be fulfilled. So
Yeah.
I better look at the schedule, and it better look like more time with wife and daughters than there is business. But it's still a second priority. So there needs to be more time business than there is my own, business right now is more of a priority for me than my strength and my fitness. So it's like, it's still up there on the list, but it's like, I'm not ever going to be a games athlete until I turn like 70. So it's like, it's not like I need to be hitting, 3 sessions a day, so it's like, hey, if I get 3 or 4 good workouts in a week, I'm happy, so put them on the schedule. So, all that to say is it's communication, and then you just reverse engineer it, what you need, it's like, okay, hey, I need to see this many clients. I need to do this, this, and this. Okay, well, that means I need to go drop into this many gyms a month and meet people. I need to go work at this many competitions. I need to go, we need to make these type of social media posts. We need to do this with whatever business we're starting. Okay, hey, if the priority is family, then I need to make sure that one day a week I'm taking one of my daughters on a date. So every Monday afternoon is date day. And so, take 3, we don't take the new one yet, but 3 of my daughters, first First week is Lindley. The second week of the month is Maya. Third week of the month is Noah. And then we just rotate that. And then the fourth week of the month, we all go to the beach together. And so it's, just those times to make sure that I'm prioritizing that time with my daughters, and then also making sure that Jen and I have time together to go build our relationship as well too. So it's kind of complex, but it's really not though, because you set it all up and then you just do it. And that's the thing. You just got to set it up first. So some people are just like hoping that things will happen. And I hope I have a good relationship with my wife. And I hope that I have a good relationship with my kids. And I hope that my business grows. But you don't actually set it all up and you don't engineer it to actually grow. And guess what? Like, shocker, it's not going to grow.
Sounds like you have a open line of communication. I'm wondering how often, if ever, do either she or either of you say, no, that's too much, or no, that's not going to work?
Oh, I don't know that I would say it's like, no, it's not working in the middle, but like every day, like every day there's something that will be like, hey, I'm not liking this. Okay, well, let's change it. And like, yeah, the open line of communication has to be there, because
that's great.
You've got to be able to talk about the good things and talk about the bad things. And
right,
for my wife and I too, and this is just our relationship. So it's not saying that this is perfect, but we've been together for, I think, 16 years now and married for 12 of that, if I add right, maybe 13 of it. This year will be 13. And so, we've never once had a fight where we yelled at each other. And some people that's their way of communicating, and that's fine if that's yours. But for us, it doesn't work because we need to talk about it and come to a conclusion and figure it out. And so, yeah, there's times that we'll disagree, but there's always mutual respect. So I respect her time and her wishes. She respects my time and my wishes. And then we try to do everything as a team together.
It sounds like the planning is potentially far more important than the execution. You're like, the execution becomes significantly easier when the planning is there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, think of like good CrossFit Games athletes. They don't show up and just be like, hey, what's on .com today? Oh, I guess let me go do the .com workout and hopefully I'll make it to the games. It's like, no, there's a plan. There's a, kind of a whole, fitness, business, life, family, they all tend to have the same things that go on, with how you can optimize it.
What draws you towards CrossFit as a methodology, and what are some other fitnessy stuff that you like doing?
The thing that I love about CrossFit is that it incorporates everything. It incorporates full body movement, it's strength, skill, power, endurance, gymnastics, and all that with an emphasis on community. And so there's and the thing I love too is I've been in gyms before where it'll be like me, like this mediocre like athlete, have grandma next to me, grandma's grandson on the other side, a games athlete, and this newbie who doesn't even know what WOD means. And all of us are there doing the same workout at the same time with little bit different in their modifications, and we can all sweat, have fun, get a good workout, and have an effective workout. And I love that, so it's like anybody that wants to get in can get in, and everybody's going to improve. Now, if your goal is to be a power lifter, I don't know that CrossFit's for you. If your goal is to be a professional bodybuilder, I don't know that CrossFit's for you, but those things, and it might be, you may just have to do some little extra stuff on the side. I've seen powerlifters that are CrossFitters. I've seen bodybuilders that are CrossFitters too. But, if the goal is like to be well-rounded and move and be healthy for your entire life span, like, hey, guess what? We're the one, and there's other people that have kind of like formed their own little offshoots off of it, but they're all just derivatives of CrossFit. They're all just people that got tired of paying an affiliate fee or got tired of being affiliated, or someone said that CrossFit was scary and they took that to heart. And so then they didn't want to do that. And there's reasons for that, and there's good reasons for that. There's good business reasons, there's good personal reasons if you want to do that, but you'd be wrong in saying it wasn't just a derivative of CrossFit. These little kind of like spin-offs. But the community aspect is the thing that that I think I love the most about it too, though, is, you know, I kind of have like a saying, hey, you showed up for fitness, you stuck around for community. Man, I just like doing anything, you know, anything that's just playing and moving. You know, my daughters are at an age right now where we go to the park a lot. And so, you know, I go to a park at least once or twice a week, and it's just like, hey, can I do a handstand walk around the playground? Or can, you know, I still got monkey bars. Can I muscle up on the monkey bars and then go across them? Can we, I don't know, just like always playing. Like, can you climb up the slide on the edge of it and balance? And those are simple things that like you can do anywhere. It's like, I'm in Hawaii, so yeah, I love to surf. Like that's, you know, a big part of being out here. Something that I really love doing is being in the water and surfing. And I can't say I'm great, but I try and I have fun. And, but really, in hiking, just, I love challenging myself in any way. It's just, I always want to be trying to get a little bit better at stuff, or at least just holding on to what I have, if nothing else. You know, 34, I'm getting old, you know?
I was going to say, you're in Hawaii. Have you had an opportunity to see Mal O'Brien since she's been there?
No, she's been over on Kauai a lot, and we got a lot of like friends of friends, but I actually haven't run into her. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure at some point, because I think I can't fully figure out kind of what all she's doing, but it sounds like she's just out here cruising and working out. But
yeah, I can't figure out if she has her own gym or where she's working out. It looks like a home gym, but
I think I know whose house she's staying at. I think.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on that one. But
gotcha.
Yeah, if it is,
it looks like someone's home gym, garage gym. It looks nice, but I'm like, yeah, that is not like an actual affiliate.
Yeah, no, and I think she might go to an affiliate here and there. I think Keala Foundation has 4 affiliates, I believe, over on Kauai right now, and I think that the place that she's staying is kind of somewhat cool. friends all throughout that world, which that's a really cool organization over there at the Keala Foundation. So if none of you guys have ever checked that out, they do the trail run every September. It's basically they give free CrossFit to all the kids in the island. So it's a really, really cool foundation.
All right. I do have a fun question for you before we leave. If you had to start a rumor about yourself, what would it be?
Okay. Let's see. So originally from
He's
Oklahoma.
a CrossFit Games athlete.
Yeah, right. No, we all know that wouldn't happen. So originally from Oklahoma, and something that I always wanted to do but never did, but I think it'd be really funny as a rumor, is that I was a tornado chaser. And
totally people would believe that. Yeah,
I think they would. And I almost did. Like my dad bought this car one time, and he was like, "We ought welcome to Oklahoma." He was like, "We ought to just cover this thing in bed liner and put plexiglass windows and go chase tornadoes." And I was like, "Let's do it." And then we never ended up actually doing it. And then he sold the car, but it was part of the plan. Is that's what we were going to do with it. But I never actually have. I've seen plenty of tornadoes, but I've never actually gone chasing them. But I think that'd be a fun rumor.
That is a fun rumor.
I don't know if
there's a remake of Twister
seen a
coming
water
out soon
spout.
that
it looks so good.
Pretty cool.
Oh man, it looks so good. Yeah.
I'm from. Are you the star? Flying back out here, they were actually shooting it at the airport, and so we like got through the gate just in time before they closed it off to like shoot. You know, I guess there's gonna be a scene at the airport in Oklahoma City, but
nice. Yeah, I'm from Texas, so East Texas, and been through my share of tornadoes. And hearing the tornado alarm is not fun.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard one.
I think it's kind of fun.
Oh yeah,
but I'm also like just an adrenaline junkie.
Kind of tornado chaser.
That's because I'm a tornado chaser, so I knew that work had to be done at that point. You know.
Yeah. Thank you for spending some time and sharing with us. I feel like you and I have a lot of similarities in the way that we approach a lot of different things in life. I'm excited to come out and actually visit with you in a couple of weeks. We get to do a little CrossFit competition while we're out there, which would be really fun. I'm excited to learn about some other things that you got going on. Kyle, where can people find you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, probably the easiest place is going to be Instagram. My personal page is Kyle Womack PT. And then anything
Mhm.
we're doing regarding business, CrossFit, movement stuff is the MoveCo. Just TheMuvco.
The Move Co.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Make sure that you rate, not report, rate the podcast. Give us some comments. What are some things that you liked hearing? What are some things that you would like to hear more of? Maybe some guests you like to hear from. We love having people on that are way more famous than us, or maybe just more famous than me, less famous than JR. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Right on. Thank you, guys. Good chatting with you.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1, time.